Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. Trezell and Jaqueline West are facing 2 murder charges for their adoptive children, Orrin and Orson West, and filing a fraudulent police report to the emergency 911 service for 2 missing little boys. The question I asked today is from the defense. Ms. Stallings, who is representing Jaqueline West, says there is no forensic evidence in this case. So I want to ask you all, how do you feel about this trial being solely based on the testimony of the older biological son of Jaqueline and Trezell West, stating he saw a deceased child, pale looking, cold to the touch, and then never saw him again. Moved to the Cal City house. The other child was there briefly, and then he too disappeared. Thank you so much for joining me. Please check my community board for said updates to the Vallow Daybell case. John Bassett, who's being charged with murdering Deshina Kyle. Jury selection started today in Knoxville, Tennessee. I will be going out to the house where he disposed of the body of Deshina Kyle in a toolbox. I will be filming there live today after this live stream. So please follow the Queen to the abandoned house where Deshina Kyle was discarded like trash in the crawl space of an abandoned house. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be bringing you updates later pertaining to Jaqueline and Trezell West, Lori Vallow Daybell, and John Bassett, who is standing trial for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Deshina Kyle. Thank you so much for following the content. If indeed there is no forensic evidence in this case against the two, is it possible that these two will walk free? The state has rested their case. So that means the state has not shown the jury any evidential material against the two who are suspected in the deaths of the children. So how is this going to affect the jury panel? Because if you don't have any evidence of death, evidence of abuse against the children by the two suspects, you don't have any forensic material, blood, fecal matter, urine, sweat, skin cells, anything of their DNA under the suspect's fingernails, any matter from the defendant's hair, brain matter. How are you going to convict the two? It is down to the wire now. The two suspects will have their defense team represent them in court to prove they did not murder these children, that these children are just simply missing, wandering around about out there, kidnapped somewhere. They're somewhere, but they are not murdered by Jaqueline and Trezell West. I want to ask you, how do you feel knowing the state has rested and has not shown, let me repeat, they have not shown any evidence against Jaqueline and Trezell showing they murdered the children, just the eyewitness account of a child seeing a dead child, believed he vomited, possibly died in his sleep, saw him, touched him, and then never saw the child again. Let me read you statements from the courtroom. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeGanji 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during this live stream. Thank you so much for everybody in the chat. And yes, I will be careful. Thank you for being concerned. KGET is the source. Basically, what is happening in court right now is that The defense feels as if the children were not properly questioned by authorities in the disappearance pertaining to the children, that they were browbeat and coerced into giving false statements pertaining to the disappearance of the children. You're entitled to your opinion. It states here, Trezell and Jaqueline West's eldest child, who last week testified to seeing one of his brothers die in 2020 and another disappear days later, was influenced by improper coercive interview techniques that made him susceptible to false memories, a defense attorney said. Expert witness who reviewed evidence in this case, including multiple interviews, will testify the social worker who interviewed the boy engaged in browbeating to make the child, then 10, say what she wanted him to say, said attorney Alexia Torres Stallings. She said another witness enhanced surveillance images and footage taken of the West home and will testify to the methods used and what the enhanced footage reveals. There are no confessions and there is no forensic evidence. All we have is the story of a 10-year-old boy, Torres Stallings said. The prosecution rested shortly before 11 a.m. yesterday morning. 2 children are deemed deceased by the state. Orrin 4, Orson 3, reported missing December 2020. The prosecutor, Eric Smith, says they do have evidence, including the eldest boy's testimony indicating that the children died 3 months earlier. My question to you as an outsider, do you believe the state proved their case against Jaqueline and Trezell West? Or do you feel there is a problem in the prosecution's case? Because we know that many murder trials have convicted suspects on murder without a body. We're talking about 2 bodies. Do not know if they were murdered at the same time, discarded in the same place. Do not know if the children were sold, bartered, loaned out, or killed by these 2. My understanding is that the other children were involved in the murders, from my understanding of the affidavit that was brought to us last spring. So I was waiting to hear that information in court. That's what I was waiting for. The state rested yesterday. So excuse me. I have a problem with this information. Where is the evidence? Is it going to be enough just to say, he said, I saw a dead kid, I didn't see him anymore. Boom, we moved to Cal City, and I didn't see that kid after a couple of days. Will that be enough to convict the 2? Because it seems like everything is solely based on one child's conversation, initial interview. Now we have the defense saying they browbeat the child. They coerced him into saying what they wanted him to say. But I do not believe he changed his testimony in court about seeing the dead kid. Fumbled a few times from what I have read, but basically sticking to the story. Seeing a dead child, touched a dead child, child was cold, never saw him again, moved from Bakersfield, moved to Cal City, second child gone. Heard a thump one night like a soap bottle falling. Boom, never saw second child again. Same info. Where are the boys? Are they alive or are they deceased? No photographs of the children on their devices. Why not? You say these children ran off, wandered off, somebody kidnapped them. Possibly biological family involvement. But that does not explain you not having pictures of your children that you adopted on your damn phone. So you mean to tell me you have pictures, videos of 4 other children, but not these 2 who just so happened to go missing in December, but your child says, oh no, they were gone months ago. So now you're saying your own child is a liar. And detectives have asked Miss Jaqueline, why would your child lie on you and your husband about not seeing their brothers again? Now they want to say the video was enhanced and that's fraudulent. But you can clearly see little bitty spiders walking out with these two getting in a van, and you do not see 6 children. The eyes have not deceived Queen. You return home same day, and you do not see 6 children exiting the van. So now you're trying to say, what? The person that filmed this from their own home camera jimmied the camera to make it look like there's only 4 children. These people had no reason to jimmy anything because, one, they don't know Jaqueline and Trezell West. They're not hanging with them. They're not friends with them. They had no reason to alter the footage. Now I just got an update from KGET. Let me go in and read this information. Just 1 second, please. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's always something. Okay. This is the latest information coming from court, everybody. The eldest child of Trezell and Jaqueline West told Kern County Grand Jury last year he saw his youngest brothers just days before Christmas 2020, contradicting earlier interviews in which he said he hadn't seen the children for weeks before they were reported missing. So now the eldest child is saying he saw, once again, he told the Kern County Grand Jury last year he saw the youngest brothers days before Christmas. Okay? But then it says contradictory earlier interviews in which he said he hadn't seen the children weeks before they were reported missing. It wasn't until about 30 minutes into his testimony, after being shown an earlier interview with a social worker, that the boy told the grand jury he heard his brother Orrin Ford gagging one night, and the next day his parents told him he had died. As questioning continued, he said he hadn't seen his youngest brother, Orson III, for a long time before he and Orrin were reported missing. Let me repeat that again. 30 minutes into his testimony, after being shown an earlier interview with a social worker, that the boy told the grand jury he heard his brother Orrin Ford gagging one night, and the next day his parents told him he had died. As questioning continued, he said he hadn't seen his youngest brother, Orson III, for a long time before he and Orrin were reported missing, and he believed Orson had been staying at a grandmother's house. The child's hour-long testimony was read Tuesday morning as defense counsel for Trezell and Jaqueline West attempted to show the child, then 10, was influenced by improper questioning and his testimony is unreliable. The Wests are charged with the murder and other offenses in the deaths of Orrin and Orson, whose bodies have not been found. Prosecutor Eric Smith has said the boys died about 3 months before they were reported missing on December 21st, 2020. Attorneys for the Wests have said their clients told the truth when they reported Orrin and Orson had been playing in the backyard of their California City home and disappeared during a brief period when Trezell West had been gathering firewood when inside. Defense counsel have told the jury this is a kidnapping case and their clients are innocent of wrongdoing. This trial is in its 19th day and closing arguments could take place next week. KGET.com is the source of this said information. You could see in that first interview how they lied. Who lied? Oh, you're talking about the interview where they talked to the news. Mr. West. I'm going to say this. I always try to have hope and faith in the judicial process, but in the end, the judicial process relies on number one, the information brought to court. The information relayed by the defense and the prosecutor, the people who testify, if the suspect testifies, and if it's a bench trial by a judge, the judge is rendering, and also trial by 12 members of peers. So all that has weight in a courtroom on how a person will be seen in the eyes of the public and a decision made. So these people are being tried by their peers. Naturally, they don't know these people, but that's just a word used, legal terms. You're being judged by 12 members of society. But all it takes is one person to hang the jury to let these two go. Stay woke. We have a demon seed walking amongst us now by the name of Casey Anthony. And I do believe the state put on a damn good case in that Florida trial against that heathen. And today she walks free to roam the earth to kill another child, to continue to lie and be manipulative. And it is not to say that a person cannot change. That the only way I can see you changing is if you believe in God and you repent and he has forgiven you for your sins. But that's between you and God. Hello, Frugal Fanny. Thank you for joining me. God have mercy. If one member of this jury or more believe Jaqueline and Trezell West. Because there are no forensics in this case, which I thought that there would be. I assumed that there would be. There are none. There is no DNA. There is no fingerprints on anything. There is no fecal matter, urine, sweat, blood, matter from the body, bone, tissue. God have mercy. Because that is what people are expecting, hoping for, to secure a guilty verdict. Not just, I saw a dead kid, I touched a dead kid. So you have to hope that 12 members of the jury can go in that box and say, yes, we believe this kid. He was 10, but he knows what he saw. He knows what he heard. He's not lying to us. Maybe he's nervous. Maybe he fears his parents. Maybe he wants to be back with his parents. Maybe he's changed his version from grand jury to first being interrogated because of whatever circumstances. I don't know because I wasn't there. We have someone saying they saw the kids in Arlington, Texas, where the biological mother was living. But now we have a man come forward to say, no, those aren't those children. Those are my children. Who's this guy? 2.5 miles from where Miss Ryan Dean lived. But now they're saying those children were misidentified. But this is what happens when people think they're seeing what they're seeing. Oh, I thought those were those children. They look like those kids I'm seeing on the news. But then somebody says, no, those aren't those children. They're my children. So naturally, investigators had to go out to the scene to look at the children and ID them properly through photographs of the missing children versus the alive children and say, no, these are not the same children. And I still would like to know the person that made that call to 911 thinking those children were in Arlington, Texas. So now we have the defense saying, hey, they were kidnapped. Somebody came and got them, but there's no footage showing anyone lurking about the house, lurking around the house, parked outside the house, parked on the side of the gate, going up to the door, breaking and entering. You see where I'm going with this. No footage of the children wandering outside of the door, the gate. So that means what? They were there, they weren't there. So were the children ever there? Because now we have conflicting information from the same children. I saw them, I didn't see them. Nope, they never left, they did leave. Were the children at Cal City at any time from the month of September through December 2020? Because the parents don't have photographs of the children, which is highly suspect. You have 6 children, but you don't have pictures of these 2 who are missing. So that's a very highly, highly prejudicial information against the 2. Were there clothes of the children? Well, they could easily lie if there are other children that were the same age as those children, because they had 2 other adoptive children, allegedly, who could obviously wear the same clothes. No scent from the dog in the backyard of any remains of anyone. It hit on something, but it was dug up. There were no children there. Toothbrushes had dust on them. Why? So that would lead us to believe that your own children didn't live there, the ones who were supposed to be there, the 4. Or you didn't make your children brush their teeth. Strict adoptive mother, but she doesn't make her children brush their teeth. Help me understand. Who are these people? What were they doing adopting children? How did they get approved? They got approved because they passed the background check. And the point of the story, because people want to continuously blame DHS, you cannot read the human mind. You all have got to stop blaming other people for deviant people. You didn't know them. Bottom line. There's no way DHS can read the mind of a demon seed. People murder their children every day. People murder their spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, exes every day. And the same people will run in court and say, he would never do that. She would never do that. I know my son. I know my daughter. Oh, he was on the football team. She was a cheerleader. They was this, but they're also a damn monster. So there is no saying what somebody will and will not do. The only thing you can say is, I didn't think he would do that. I didn't think she would do that. So my question to you today, will the state prove their case without bodies and evidentiary material? Because now we know this case relies solely on a now 12-year-old boy. That is my question to you today. I will be bringing you back-to-back lives pertaining to Lori Vallow Daybell, John Bassett, and Jaqueline and Trezell West. When court resumes, I will bring you another update pertaining to what else happened in court today in California, Idaho, and jury selections against John Bassett, who is being accused of murdering Sheena Kyle here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I will be going out to the scene of where her remains were found. God bless me on this journey, because it does not look savory where I will be treading today. I do not like the way it looks out in this place I'm going, but this is why I'm going in daylight savings time and going live. So if anything happens to me, I'm live on camera. But I do not like the way it looks. All my Google searches have scared the hell out of me in searching for this place. And every search comes up just woods. The house doesn't even show up. But it could be Google has taken the house off of the Google search because this is where her remains were found, such as in the case with the Idaho 4. They no longer show the house on the Google search because of the heinous actions that took place at the crime scene. So this is possibly why this house is the same as the Idaho 4. It doesn't show up on the Google search. But I will be going there this afternoon to show you where she was found discarded in a toolbox in a crawl space. This is a very diabolical case here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I can tell you, I got chills trying to find this house, searching for this house. Finally found a glimpse of the house in a news article, and it looks like something out of a scary movie covered with trees and brush. It's an abandoned house. From my understanding, no one lives there, to my understanding. It's still registered at the processor's office here at the clerk's office with one owner. A few people have lived at this house. I've traced those names back to, I believe, the house where he was arrested in 2021 on drug charges. The Queen is going there today to show you how vile this human being is, and the audacity of his defense to say Deshina Kyle killed herself. Well, I'm going to say this to the defense attorney directly. How in the hell did she kill herself, shoot herself in the head, and put herself in a toolbox and travel 9 minutes up the fucking highway and put herself in the crawl space of an abandoned house? I'll wait. You got to do better than that, sweetie. You got to come better than that. Because if she killed herself and he found her, he broke in her house, then he would have left her there. Checkmate. And the fact that he moved the body from the house shows that he deliberately went there to murder Deshina Kyle. This is a premeditated murder. He took her either out of there by a way of a tote or some fashion, or that toolbox. He went there deliberately with a gun, breaking and entering, killed the young lady, took her out, as I said, by tote or that toolbox, took her 9 minutes up by highway and dumped her at this abandoned house of a relative. And you say she killed herself. I say she did not. And this is so disrespectful to Deshina, her family, and anyone breathing with a pulse to say she killed herself and then put herself in a toolbox and rolled her way to an abandoned house on a desolate road, and then put herself, how, if you're dead, can you put yourself in a toolbox and then climb your ass in a crawl space? You better come correct. You have disrespected this dead girl and her family with this BS in court. And I'm starting to wonder, the people who defend criminals, if perhaps you have a criminal mind, that you could even stand in court and spew out such disrespect and venom against a dead person. And then you have the audacity to say there was no cruel torture to the body. Well, let me check you there. Maybe he didn't torture her. Maybe he didn't cut her up. But he stuffed her in something to get her out of the house. He had to carry her in something out of the house. He had to put her in a car or a truck. He had to then roll her to the crawl space. He had to then put her body that was in the toolbox in the crawl space. So there is your abuse of a corpse, because there was no need to take the body out of the house. Checkmate. Checkmate. Justice for Deshina Kyle. Pray the 12 members of a jury that's chosen will see that John Bassett is a vile creature, and he deliberately went to her address and broke in her house and murdered her. He shot her in the head. He took her out of that house, stored her by toolbox, and put it in a crawl space of an abandoned house. Queen has done her homework. Nobody's been living in this abandoned house. It has had one owner since 1982. The lady is dead, whose name is on the deed. He knew to take her there. Hello, Painted Black. Thank you so much. He knew to take her there because nobody lived there. And they're going to bring the toolbox in the court, I do believe. Imagine that. So you can get a visual. And this is why you need a visual in court, so you can see how cruel the demon seed is. I would not only bring the toolbox into court, I would take the 12 members of the jury to the house and let them see the house. Let them see the deed from the clerk's office to show that nobody's lived in the house for years. Show them the property. Let them walk around the property inside of the house, and also show a visual of the crawl space of how much work it took to put this young lady down in there. The Queen's going there today to show you if indeed the house is still standing. I will take you to the property after this live stream to show you how disgusting and vile John Bassett is, and the fact he has the nerve to now say she was fighting him, she was violent, she's destroyed his property, and that she killed herself. She did not. Because you see, Mr. Bassett, the one thing you should have learned about Knoxville, Tennessee is that we talk a lot here. And people like to gossip. That's where you fucked up. Because somebody puts you there at her house in daylight savings time. Somebody says they heard stuff breaking inside of the house, the apartment. And if it's where I think she lives, there's security cameras on that property. Stay woke. And you better hope they don't have you on camera bringing her out of there in a toolbox, or however the hell you got her out of that apartment. See, the gist of the story is that if everything I just said is true, nobody called 911 when they heard an altercation, when they heard the break-in, when they heard the things breaking in the house. If these allegations are true, she possibly could have been saved. We do not know, because nobody called 911. But I believe, sir, we have an eyewitness. We have to pray they will testify against your black ass. Back to Jaqueline and Trezell West. I'm going to end this live. I don't want to hold you because I have work to do. Too many videos to put out today. Justice for Tammy Daybell, Charles Vallow, JJ Vallow, and Tylee Ryan. Text messages have been revealed that they were planning to kill the children. They have it on text messages. They're plotting the deaths of everybody I just mentioned through text messages. Thank you, Jesus. Will Chad Daybell testify against Lori Vallow Daybell in court? We will see. Will Lori testify on her behalf in court? We will see. And will the testimony of the oldest boy child be enough to convict Jaqueline and Trezell West of double homicide, filing a false police report through emergency services, and fraud? Because they continue to get benefits for children who are no longer in their custody. Has the state proven their case? That is my question to you. I will post this to my community board after this live stream. Please take the polls, because you need to hear the opinions of others pertaining to this trial and other trials. Because sadly, listen at me carefully now, there is somebody in this United States of America and abroad that believe these two did not murder these children. We have information from the Sun saying they chopped up the boy's food, put it in a baby bottle. That is too descriptive to be a lie. Maybe that is how he died. He choked on the food, trying to digest it through a baby bottle, which is the most insane BS I have ever heard. But there are so many ways that you can be cruel to a human being. He chewed with his mouth open. I do not believe that child lied about that. You confess to your child that you murdered this child. I do not believe this child lied about that. Perhaps the child could not digest the food. He vomited in his sleep, choked on his vomit, and died. The boy child found him, touched him. The parents admitted they killed him, asked him what should they do. He said, do not call. I do not want us to be separated from you all. I believe all that is truth and factual. But will it be enough to convict Trezell and Jaqueline? That is the question. Because the other children were smaller, memory probably not as good as the 10-year-old at that time, who is now 12. Where are these boys? And if they are indeed dead, as the state claims, where are their bodies discarded? Will the truth ever be revealed? Will 12 members of a jury convict these two for murder? Child abuse allegations. What is the child abuse? Is it from the testimony of a former foster child of Jaqueline pinning down the children, holding them by the neck and pinning down their legs with her legs on top of theirs? Is that where the child abuse charge comes from? Chopping up the food, putting it in a baby bottle, a form of abuse. Alienation, abuse. Will it be enough? I will read the polls on my page before I check out of here. The questions I asked the viewing audience pertaining to these two heathens. If you need verification for information on this storyline, KGET is the source I have been using in ABC 13 News. And please follow the John Bassett trial. I see he's gotten a little chubby in jail. The great people of Knoxville, Tennessee have been feeding him accordingly in jail. You've gotten a little chunky there, fella. You're not coming out that jailhouse, honey. You can say whatever you want to your defense attorneys, but you're not coming out that jail. You're going to get life, and you deserve it for killing that girl. Here are the questions on my community page. Did the Wells boys see Summer return home that afternoon? 20% yes, 52% no, 28% not sure. Will we ever hear what the Wells boys saw and heard June 15, 2021? 53% yes, 47% no. Will there ever be an arrest in the Summer Wells case? 43% yes, 25% no, 32% not sure. If Summer Wells is not alive, do you think she was discarded in the Beach Creek area? 54% yes, 29% no, 18% not sure. Did Summer Wells make it home June 15, 2021? 38% yes, 39% no, 24% not sure. Are Summer Wells' parents responsible for her disappearance? 88% yes, 6% no, 6% not sure. Is Summer Wells alive or deceased? Alive, 4%. Deceased, 85%. Not sure, 10%. Those are the questions I've asked you on my community page. Please check out my movie suggestion TV series called The Secret. It will remind you of Lori and Chad Daybell. It is based on a true story. It has 4 episodes now playing on Tubi. Please check it out. A man is accused of killing his wife and his lover's husband. And justice doesn't come down the road for near 20 years in this case. And it's based on actual events. It is called The Secret. It is based on people abroad in England. A Christian man, claiming to be a Christian man, such as this story with Lori and Chad, tangled up in a wild affair with a church member, school teacher, and they plot the deaths of their spouses. Please check it out. The Secret, now playing on Tubi, based on actual events. Just bringing you all my polls. Did Wanda ask where the boys were? What was the answer, if any? Did she know that they were deceased? 76% she knew. 2% did not know. 8% not sure. 14% did not care. Did the West boy tell the truth on the witness stand about the events of the toddler brother's death? This is 4 days ago. 77% yes, 4% no, 19% not sure. In the case against Lori Daybell, did Audrey Barattiero tell the truth on the witness stand that Lori Vallow Daybell threatened to kill her? 76% yes, 10% no, 14% not sure. I give you these polls so you can see how other people think. Thank you, Painted Black, and thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you for following this content, this network. Thank you all for your donations. "10 days ago, I asked you about the jury pertaining to Lori Vallow Daybell. At this point in the trial, does the jury believe Lori is innocent or guilty? 0% innocent, 100% guilty, 242 votes. 10 days ago, I asked you, should a person who conspires to kill someone get a life sentence, even if they did not exact the deed? 94% of you said yes, and 6% of you said no. And that is why I make these polls, to show you that there is always a small percentage, or even greater, who feels a person should not do time in prison for being a part of a murder plot. 6% of the people who took this poll think a person should not get life in prison for conspiring against the death of another person. That is scary as hell. So whoever was watching this poll took this poll, and that's 6%. Now let me check how many people voted on the poll. 1 second, please. Very scary. Okay, let's see here. $224 votes, and 6% said no, that a person should not get life in prison, even if they didn't exact the crime. Do you think Chad's children really believe he is innocent? 17% yes, 83% no, 223 votes. Do Lori's parents believe she is innocent? 8% yes, 92% no, 168 votes. Were Lori and Chad's warped ideology spun for manipulation of others, or do you think they really believe their rhetoric? 69% yes, 16% no, not sure, 16%. I'm going to say this, and I want to check out of here. Casey Anthony is a free woman, and I do believe the state of Florida put on a very good case against her to show she had possession of her child at the time of her mother reporting the child missing. They showed in court that she lied about where she worked. She lied about where she stayed. She lied about a nanny that never existed. The only thing that Casey Anthony could prove in court and during interrogation was her legal government name. Checkmate. Her defense attorney, Mr. Baez, implicated the parents, the brother, the utility worker that found the baby in the bag, the same bag that matched 2 other canvas bags in the garage from Target. What are the odds? The baby was wrapped in a blanket that matched the other blankets and sheets from the said house where they were staying with the parents. What are the odds? Accusations of child molestation from the father, brother, denied by all parties. And usually those cases are hard to prove if a person was molested by a said parent or family member. The fact that they don't have a relationship to this day, how could you? Because how in the world could you ever look a person in the eye after being accused of child molestation, molesting your own child, molesting your own sister? The only person she really didn't throw in the bus was her mother. But as detectives said in this story, nothing ever came to fruition of information from Casey Anthony's mouth. So long as her mouth was moving, she was lying. But yet, 12 members of a jury felt the state did not prove their case that she murdered her girl child. So basically, you're saying the killer is still at large. That's what you're saying. That the killer of this baby is still at large. Then who is the killer? Because if Casey Anthony didn't kill the child, then you left her father and mother and brother and a utility worker as the culprits. This is what I'm trying to get you to understand. You are dealing with the human mind when you go into that jury box. You're talking about 12 separate people, 12 different lives, 12 different ideologies, 12 different faiths, religions, who are going to hold this person's fate in their hands. And you see they let Casey Anthony go with evidence, with the smell of decomposition in the trunk. The dog picked up the scent from the trunk. The scientists from the Oak Ridge National Lab outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, went and testified of a scent test perfected to show decomposition in the atmosphere in the trunk. It wasn't good enough. Stickers on the tape, on the mouth, whatsoever, matched stickers from the house. That wasn't good enough. Duct tape matched duct tape from their house. That wasn't good enough. Blanket bag she was in from the same house, matching stuff from the house, same bag, same tape, same blanket. Wasn't good enough. Wasn't good enough. Casey Anthony gone from the house for over a month with the kid. Wasn't good enough. Do you see where I'm going with this? All it takes is the one person to say, I don't think they did it. I don't think she did it. I don't think he did it. Show me more. I need more. And this is how Casey Anthony became a free woman. And the evidence in this case of Casey Anthony is way stronger than the testimony of one child in the West case. They had forensics. They had a whole body, stickers, duct tape, smell test from the trunk. The trunk smelled. The dog hit on the trunk. The canvas bag matched 2 other canvas bags from the garage. The stickers matched stickers from the house, from the little girl's room. Her body was wrapped in a blanket that matched her sheet set, and yet still, you set her free. So you see, you can't bet on 12 members of a jury. So you better pray somebody in that jury box believes that little boy, that he saw a dead kid. The parents told him he died. They conspired to dump the body. He never saw the second child after moving to Cal City. Because imagine somebody says there's not enough evidence against Jaqueline and Trezell West. The state has not proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that these two killed these babies, dumped these babies somewhere in California or surrounding states. Perhaps these children were kidnapped. Perhaps these children wandered off. Perhaps the biological family took the children. Perhaps there was a secret deal between the family and the West. And that would be even more sinister. Because we now know that everybody knew of each other. That's finally been confirmed. So imagine if they did give the children back to the biological mother. Just bear with me now. Imagine they gave the children back to the biological mother. Here, they're too hard to deal with. They're rambunctious. Can't deal with them. Hard to maintain. They cry all the time. They chew with their mouths open. Don't want them. Come get them. We won't tell anybody we gave them back to you. And then she takes her children and she gets rid of the children. You see, somebody on the jury may think that could have actually happened because they're going to weigh all of that. It doesn't mean that it's true, but people are going to think outside of the box. Now, although there are no phone pings that put Miss Ryan in Cal City until after the 21st, which is December 23rd. No phone pings put her there to say she was hanging around the house, lurking around the house. But so long as the defense offers up kidnapping and that the biological mother knew that the children were there in Bakersfield with them, they'll say, how do we know she didn't find out where they were before they reported them missing? Because that's all it takes is for the defense to plant various scenarios in the head of the jury members, such as what Baez did in the Casey Anthony case. He planted scenarios, and those people said, I can't convict her on what the state has brought forth because Mr. Baez has showed me other scenarios. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. This lady is throwing out kidnapping. Children wandered off. Pedophiles in the area. And that's all it would take for one person on the panel to say, maybe they did wander off. Maybe they were kidnapped by a pedophile. Maybe they were kidnapped by the biological family. Will the testimony of this boy child help convict his parents of murder and discarding of two baby boys and filing a false report to the emergency services and fraud? I want to thank you for your time. God bless all of you. Have a safe week. Please follow my content pertaining to Lori Valadabel, John Bassett, and Jaqueline and Trezell West. I will bring you an update in June pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. Please check out my live stream I did yesterday pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells. Where is she? Where can she be found? Is she alive? Is she dead? Was she discarded in the Beach Creek community? Are her parents liable for her disappearance? Was she murdered? Or was there a cover-up on the property by another child, another entity, person? Who holds the key to the information pertaining to the disappearance of Summer Wells? I want to thank you for your time. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. Remember, you just may save a life if you say something. Follow the Queen today to 6969 Sam Tillery Road, where Dashina Kyle was found in a toolbox in the crawl space of an abandoned house belonging to a relative of her ex-boyfriend, John Bassett. We will all go out there today and you will see the desolate area where this 26-year-old African-American female was discarded like trash. And today, jury selection starts in a Knoxville, Tennessee courthouse. We are going to get justice for you, Deshina. And no matter the negative things that will be said about you in court, we know that he had no right to break into your house, shoot you in the head, take you out of that house, and put you in a toolbox and store you in an abandoned house in a crawl space. There will be justice because God is good and he is all the time good. I want to thank you so much. You have been listening to The Vault. Exhale.